Welcome to day 10 of, this is my very first bar of soap, to the day 10 of our Get Up and Go 30 plus day challenge. It looks like I'm crazy with all my bars of soap, but this is what we're going to talk about today. We are going to cover the meat, finally getting down to what the heck are we here for, the soap framework. I don't know if you can see this, it's pretty light. I'm going to have to get a black marker to share it. It's my practicing writing backwards for my Android. Android technology doesn't allow us to write forwards and have things show up backwards. We can't flip like you can on an iPhone. So we have to get creative and write backwards, which is really fun and challenging for me. We'll talk about that some other time. So today, I want to give you an overview of the SOAP framework. We're going to have a super easy action item today. At the end of today, all I want you to do is think about the SOAP framework and then share in the comments below which of the 9 areas and aspects of our life, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution, communication, and confidence, you would like to go through the SOAP framework first. I'm trying to reach my lovely graphic, by the way, of our different key areas and aspects of our life, right? The 7, it was 7, and then I added communication and confidence this year. So each of these areas, all you're going to do for your action item is say, okay, I want to see this SOAP framework thing that you're talking about used on one of these areas. Pick the area, and that's what we'll start with tomorrow. We will actually deep dive into the SOAP framework. What's the S, what's the O, what's the A, the P, for each of the areas and aspects of our life. And I will give a specific example or a couple specific examples of how it's played out in my life or people that I've worked with through this particular challenge, or maybe even some examples from other areas and aspects of people that I've coached and worked with and consulted over the years. So what the heck is this SOAP framework? What does it mean? Where did it come from? Why do I care? Why do you care? Well, the reason you care is because this is the nuts and bolts, nitty gritty key to automating change and challenges and obstacle handling in your life from this point on. Once you understand this framework and you apply this framework and practice and use it, it replaces all the things we talked about yesterday and the day before about our automatic way of dealing with changes and challenges. Throughout our lives, we have experiences. Actually, our life is the sum total of all of the experiences that we've had and will continue to have as, till the day that we die. And these experiences create in us automatic patterns and ways of behaving and responding to things like love or kindness or challenges or changes or COVID-19. And so what we want to do is, instead of having those things happen automatically, we want to take a time out and say, okay, this is how I've dealt with this in the past, but what would be the best way for me to deal with it going forward? And just like the rest of you, when COVID-19 hit, I was a little bit befuddled. I was like, okay, this is what I've been doing. And it wasn't about me and my life and the way I was living being so negatively impacted as all of the people that I interact with and work with. I knew that their businesses, their lives were going to be absolutely, positively, totally disrupted. And how was I going to handle that? How could I best help them? And that's where the idea of the Get Up and Go challenge came from. I needed personally to be able to keep moving forward, because at the beginning, it's going to be this little short-term thing. Don't worry, it's just going to be a couple of weeks. And most of us thought, okay, well, we can deal with a couple of weeks of stepping back. We can do those projects, we can read those books, we can do those things around the house we wanted to do for a couple of weeks. But as it stretched into a month and then months and then a year, it became more and more uncomfortable. Things became more and more uncertain. And what do we do when things are uncertain? We have our automatic response to changes and challenges. We usually trigger doubt, worry, fear, upset, anger, all kinds of things that we don't want to be experiencing in our life. So the SOAP framework was born out of that. I asked myself, well, what is the best way? And when I'm solving a problem or dealing with a situation, what are the steps I use to do that? And I realized it's like so many other things. If we boil it down to what's really important, it's just a simple 4-step process, right? It's a simple 4-step process anyone and everyone can use if we so choose. So what is this? I'm going to just describe today an overview of each of the 4 areas of the process. And then over the next 20 days, we are going to get into the details. We're going to practice applying the SOAP framework to each of the different areas and aspects of our life, so that at the end of the challenge, by the end of the challenge, you will have done it several times, meaning at least 9, so that you'll form a new habit and it will become automatic for you. It will go from your conscious mind to your subconscious, just like breathing went from our, I don't know if we ever consciously thought about breathing, but it's always been in our subconscious. But it'll become as easy as breathing because it'll be a part of you. You'll automatically filter anything that comes up that you need to pay attention to through this SOAP framework. You'll wash it out and then you'll apply the best response, the best action for you. You'll just automatically know it, and you'll do that. And guess what? You'll do it again and again and again and again and again, probably hundreds of thousands of times in your life. But like breathing, instead of having to think about it every time, you'll automatically come at every situation with a better frame of mind, a better beginning point, because you'll have applied and used this framework. So what is this SOAP framework? What the heck is S? What's the O? What's the A and the P? S stands for our story or our situation. Remember a couple of days ago we talked about, well, what do you want? We will never do anything but stay in the same place and keep getting the same results we're getting unless we decide what we want. So we have to know, what is the story we're telling ourselves right now, and then what do we want it to be? And that creates this gap, and the rest of the framework fills in that gap that helps get us from where we are to where we want to be. So that's our story, our situation. There's actually two stories. There's our where we are right now and where we want to be. Now, we just practiced that. I'm not sure you noticed, but we just practiced that exact part of the process over the last couple of days when we talked about, well, what is our current change process? And then what's a way to flip and make that better? That's starting to fill in the gap. Working toward what do we want it to be? And I'm going to invite you all to adopt the SOAP framework throughout the challenge. Try it on for size. Figure out what works for you, what doesn't. And over the next 20 days, we're going to share different tools and strategies for each of these, I guess it's an acronym, for each of these items, so that you have a toolkit for you to use and access after the challenge and for the rest of your life. So what's O? O stands for options, infinite possibilities. Sometimes we forget and we think we only have one or two options, especially in a difficult, challenging situation. How many of us thought when COVID hit, hey, my business is shut down, I'm SOL? Many people did. The vast majority of people that I work with and coach and we're in masterminds and challenges and other projects with freaked out and started to just immediately shut down. So we needed to discuss and figure out, hey, what else is possible? What are the options? And again, we'll talk about tools for each of those infinite possibilities. The A in the SOAP framework stands for action. Nothing happens until we act or take action. And we'll talk about tools and strategies and ways to decide what to take action on, help us with decision making and move forward. And the P in the SOAP framework stands for progress. How do we know if what we're doing is moving us in the direction of what we want or in the opposite direction toward what we don't want? That's what we'll talk about with respect to progress, growth, moving. We want to get momentum, always moving toward that, and we'll use tools and strategies that remind us how to automate the progress that we're making when we find something that works for us. That is the SOAP framework in a nutshell. I can see that my timer is going to go up any second now, so I don't want to go too long. Questions about this, hit me up in the comments below. But never fear, we are going to go through this in detail and give lots of examples so that you know how to exactly to apply it to your life. And then you're going to practice every day applying it to an area or aspect of your life. We'll go deep in 3 different areas over the next 3 days. So share in the comments below as your action item. What area do you want to work with first? What area or aspect of your life is most critical, most important, do you want to see examples of? And we'll go through the S, the O, the A, the P for 4 days for at least 3 areas and aspects of our life. Then we'll go through the rest of the 6 areas, and we'll do all SOAP with tools in 1 day. All right, any questions, ask. Otherwise, I'm excited to share the SOAP framework with you. Have an amazing day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow so that we can start cleaning up our Change and Challenge Act and always know that we are in the best position possible for us. All right, have an awesome day. Bye.